Actually, I want to talk very briefly about a technique during the intelligence investigations people course that I taught this last Saturday. In the final 2 hours, the CTF portion where everybody competes as the same team. Ultimately, we were looking for a missing person. We dropped their username into What's My Name, and a website popped up, and the website showed their first name and last initial. Okay, cool, whatever. I don't know what it was, if it was a hunch or investigator's intuition or just going through the motions, because I try to advocate doing what I'm about to say in every course I teach that involves going to websites for stuff. But basically, we right clicked and committed the Missouri felony and viewed source. I started searching for the subject's first name. And in doing so, what ended up happening was I found where this platform was showing their first name and last initial, but I also found their full last name and the date of the last login in the source code of the website. You can see why I'm pretty bummed out that I can't blog about it or record a video about it. As a byproduct, during competition, that's something you definitely want to be aware of, because I told the students in that class, because in full disclosure, for the most part, I have retired from Trace Labs competition. Unless it's a tournament of champions, unless there's drastic changes to the format of the competition that I would need to know to effectively teach the class, or doing it for a charitable cause, or, I might feel cute and a team of noobs need a fourth, I might do it then. I'm trying to primarily focus on training people up and judging. That being said, I told them straight up, if someone submitted this finding to me as a judge, I would immediately nominate them for MVO, because something like that, I can't guarantee that it would win MVO, but that's the kind of stuff that the judges and the committee, and I'm not trying to put words in Levi or Belouve's mouth, that's the kind of stuff they're looking for the novel techniques that find little tidbits in the competition that would get you the most valuable OSINT, the MVO.
Yeah, and for the the novel techniques, that's going to make it to a nominee. I think there's what has distinguished the MVOs, especially when people find similar information or the same source, is really that context and reporting and the depth that's around it. Just sending me a copy of the view source for a page. Yeah, that's cool, that's clever, and shows me something unique, but I want to know all the information around it. Like, how did you get there? What are the details? What's really sell me on that and have a excellent kind of report put together.
Documentation is so important, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
I cannot underline this enough.
For some things, if you're submitting the subject's Facebook account, you don't really need a dissertation on that, right? You can simply say, this is a subject's Facebook account, and most rational people are going to agree. But not everybody's going to be able to connect the dots the same way you do. Something I struggled with in the last two competitions that I competed in was providing, because in some cases, some of the social media platforms link architecture had changed, and I couldn't send the links over. It wasn't showing the judges the same thing I was seeing. So basically, I ended up having to do screenshots. I'm not saying you need to screenshot everything. Within reason, this is Joe speaking, not on behalf of Trace Labs, but basically advanced subject info and above. Maybe not all of the advanced subject info, but some of them, especially, probably need a screenshot with them, because
screenshots have saved a lot of submissions where especially where we get a query from the judge, up to the admins or leadership saying, hey, is this any good? Screenshots will make or break that. And I'm like, oh, okay, here's a screenshot. It has things circled, highlighted. I might go to the site and it looks a little different. I did some different formatting.
Or it's below the fold, somewhere down below.
Right. Especially especially with like Facebook comments. Like technically, law enforcement and the media are off limits. The comment section is not. If you come across a post that's somewhat viral, that's got like hundreds or thousands of comments, and most of them are going to be, thoughts and prayers or shared in Anytown, USA. When you get to the one that's like truly intelligence, in your write-up, you need to say, based on the comment from Jane Doe, see screenshot, blah, 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 blah. This is why it is important. You don't need to write pages upon pages, but, having at least, if you have to write more than this is the subject's Facebook account, at least try to have a paragraph to explain why is it important. Because going back to the intelligence context, what differentiates intelligence from information from data, you have to explain how it furthers the investigation. Quite frankly, why do I care?
Mhm.
Yep. And
Why-
that's one of the big things that we shifted in our categories is we had a lot of things that were now shifted to relevance. Sometimes
Exactly.
and that's been some of the hopefully as we continue with this, and we changed this in August, but as we continue with this, we'll get now some of the rough spots smoothed out, because we have seen where the data is sent over and they go, this is the person's friend, this is the person's employer, and it's like, okay, cool, that's information, that's a point of data, but why do we care?
Right. And like, if someone works for a big chain, right? I'll use Walmart for an example. Someone works for Walmart. You can very easily go and say walmart.com, contact office to HR, the contact number to the HR at home office.
Yep.
All of that. You can do that. And honestly, if I were judging, I would give you points for it. It's a low point flag. Go ahead, get your points, whatever. But
yeah, I think we're kind of looking for the relevance, because we did used to have a lot of those where it was just a checkbox and it was put in. But in terms of how that process is through, and getting back to even how Levi said that reporting and documentation is so important. Processing this through to a report that goes to a reporting team that then goes to a law enforcement's desk. I don't want to have
you don't want to you don't want to hand them noise. Or I totally get it.
Yeah, we don't want to hand them noise. It's going to streamline a lot of stuff too.
Right.
We don't want to. Kind of a theme of 2023 for Trace Labs is just not burning people out. We don't want to have reporters go, oh goodness, I have to sort through all sorts of noise for stuff. And then also it's like with some of the volunteering that we have options to. We have people that are like, hey, can I volunteer for 3 or 4 of the things that you're doing? And I'm like, you can, but we're probably not going to want you to, because we don't want you to burn out and just say you're doing everything.
And to that point, like where I was going with that though is a trend that I'm seeing now, like continuing with the Walmart example, a lot of the stores, like Walmart store level, like Walmart store number 8675309 has their own Facebook and Instagram page now. That's advantageous for you as a competitor for a few reasons. It allows you to get more precise information to input in an intelligence context. This is the precise store the subject worked at.
Yeah.
This is the store manager's name. I saw a picture of this person on their social media, because here's the thing. If you look at facebook.com/Walmart, that is managed by PR and marketing professionals. Key operator there, professionals. Store level, it's not. Home office might say, hey, you need to run a promotion on your Facebook about chicken nuggets, like certain brand of chicken nuggets. And they may do that. But the people who are creating the posts are not formally trained. They might have them do like a 1 or 2 hour CBT thing, but they are not trained the same way. They're going to take pictures differently. There are going to be badges, which you see that in the home office Instagram very easily anyway. But you have that. And then sometimes they will actually tag the employees in the pictures. And if they don't, other people in the comment section will. It's a significantly better source of intelligence for you than looking at it. Like, I would give you the points for the corporate level stuff, but the good juicy stuff is at the store level. And like, if for example, that there's a definition or like a nickname for something, like for example, Walmart. I've got a kid, and if I say I'm going to Walmart, all I hear about is buy me a toy. I can talk about that and say I'm going to Fortune 1. So that could be I would not submit Fortune 1 for Walmart, but knowing aliases of a business like Fortune 1, Wally World, Walmart, stuff like that, that could be beneficial. Or, for example, Target, that's the Bullseye store. The Waffle House, I refer to that as the American Hibachi. All these things, like I speak in code to keep my little one from demanding to go to these places, but really that's what it boils down to. Before I shut up, speaking to the chat with what I'm seeing with Human Decoded and Levi, the reality is documentation is important. I mean, somewhat shameless self-promotion here, but that's why The next new course from the OSINTion is Introduction to Intelligence Report Writing. And it's going to help you understand from the perspective of given frameworks like intelligence community directives, specifically 203, 206, and 208, as well as some other stuff. But basically, it's going to help you understand how to maintain your tone and how to make subtle changes to your report so that it's aesthetically pleasing to the person on the other side so that they can have maximum comprehension, so that you're not doing what I call the pro wrestling main event and creating more questions than answers, right? Because that's how pro wrestling works. Because they've got to do something to make you tune in next week. If you have the blow off from the match and no one interferes or gets slapped with a chair, you're like, well, I don't have any questions. I don't want to watch next week.
If you like pro wrestling and your favorite is not The Undertaker, we can't be friends.
So I actually started my Trace Labs relationship volunteering as a judge for some of the initial virtual CTFs because I wasn't able to attend in person and compete. And so having that perspective as a judge really helped me to be a better competitor because I understood how much that documentation can make or break your flag. And I now insist, and I know Joe may argue with me about this, but I insist on including I insist on including a screenshot with every flag because A, you can't argue the tiny ones. And so why leave any room for debate on whether or not you got the flag, even if it's a small one, they all add up. And so I would include the URL that gets you as close to that flag as humanly possible. And then include with it because you can only do one screenshot, include the most relevant screenshot. And if you need to include like a backstory, you can put that in the contextual area with any additional URLs to other things. Keep in mind, you may not have the same judge reviewing all of your flags. So if you're leaning on a prior flag to substantiate this new flag, make sure that you're like, from this Facebook page, which was already accepted as this person's Facebook page, here's a post that shows XYZ at this new URL for that directly to the post, and then include the screenshot of the post or the relevant comment on it or whatever you're trying to illustrate there. And really tie it back to how it is evidence of that specific category and points value for that flag. Joe and I, when we competed as a team, unfortunately, there's always that room for misinterpretation. And so we would have flags that just got declined and we'd have to resubmit them. And that process really impacts your available time to keep hunting for new information and new flags because you're having to go back, recreate the one that you just submitted, find all of the stuff that you used to support that, rewrite all of your comments, and then you get irritated and you lose your train of thought and you have to kind of figure out where you were in your investigation. And it could seriously hamper your time during, a timed event where that time is valuable. So I say err on the side of being overly communicative and include all the screenshots and all the URLs and all the comments.
Alethe knows I'm on her side because we used to have a bot that just had me yelling at people to take screenshots. So
and another angle on the screenshots is that looking at it from how we at Trace Labs process the screenshots is we take the screenshots, they go into a database. All the screenshots are retained onto one of our boxes, onto our instance. That report goes to law enforcement. They have access to all of those links that just go to a screenshot on Trace Labs. This benefits them because a lot of law enforcement agencies may be risk averse and go, no, I'm not going to click on a random URL to even something that's innocuous as Facebook. They may say, hey, we're not going to Facebook, but hey, accessing the private server, the archive of screenshots that we have, they can look at that piece of information in a more, safer fashion, that they're not having any things
Yeah.
that call out. They're just clicking a link that shows a picture and they go, okay, I got everything that I need from that. So by you as contestants submitting screenshots with the flags, that makes it a lot easier to get that content and deal with any law enforcement that may be risk averse, going, hey, this sounds like very valuable information, but it's from a website that I don't even understand what it is, and I'm not sure if I want to click on that. Do you have a screenshot of the site? And if the answer is yes, then one, you've done a benefit for the judges being able to process it, but then also for reporting and law enforcement, you've done a lot of helpful approaches by providing that screenshot.
And that also brings up three other very interesting points here too. One is with the screenshots, like even though like for the really low hanging stuff, like I'm not the biggest fan of doing it, but that's okay. We're all human, we're all different. People interpret things differently. Some people comprehend better by hearing, some by reading, and some by seeing. So having that screenshot and the narrative, that affords them two of the three. So you've got a better chance of comprehension, which is good. Beyond that as well, something I just put the link in the chat for Zotero. This is a free tool. We've used it on teams before. I don't remember if we used it in the Password Inspection Agency, but I know we used it in the KGBs, the FSBs, and Federal Bureau of OSINT. Like what we did is we created accounts on Zotero's website, and we created a shared investigation. I can't demonstrate this for you because I can't pull Zotero up for NDA reasons. Ultimately, you can create a subfolder for each individual missing person, and as you and your teammates find intelligence about it, you have a browser extension just like Hunchly, except it's free. You just click the button and it will catalog the URL and take a snapshot of it that you can open as an HTML file on your computer, very similar to Hunchly. So in doing so, if you use something like that and you submit something and it gets rejected, you have the link that you can go back to. Another browser extension that you can use for something like this as well, I can and will show it to you, is called History Master. You can't use it on the Chrome ecosystem because Google doesn't like its data retention policy and what have you. With History Master, it affords you the ability, and I'm moving Firefox over to the screen right now. So with History Master, you just click it right here, and this shows you all of your history of whatever day. So on Saturday, I taught a class, so 600 links. So here are all the Facebook links that we went through. So I can go back through all of this stuff, no problem. And then the other cool thing about it is you can go here to sync and you can export it. And when you export it to a CSV. So that's another avenue that you could use, because there is nothing more frustrating than submitting a flag, the judge rejecting it, and then you not having your super cool, immaculate write-up that you had before. That's basically, what it boils down to. The final thing I've got here is, this is a slide that I use in training. This is the intelligence life cycle. In this case, for the purpose of competition, to help you understand kind of what you should be focusing on in competition, this is the reality. Everything inside the box, this is all Trace Lab's responsibility. They do the planning and the direction. They tell you who the missing people are. They've given you the rules. They've given you the parameters and the timeline. They've given you all of that. Ultimately, they handle the final dissemination of the report. So you only have to focus on your collection techniques, your processing and exploitation techniques, and your analysis techniques. And then, of course, your version of dissemination is kind of closer to production, but ultimately you're going to do some level of dissemination into the platform for the judges to read. But if you understand where you're operating in the intelligence lifecycle and where you should be operating with the tools, that will make life, I don't want to say tremendously easier, but somewhat easier.
But also, for screenshot, one more supporting vote for screenshots is that the things that are at the URLs that you have captured, those things may not be available on that site or via that URL at some point. And especially for Trace Labs investigations, that information is getting handed from one party to another, and that investigation may take place days, weeks, months later, and that, Facebook post has vanished or that comments disappeared.
Instagram.
It's good
Yeah.
to have that preservation of
Yeah.
the evidence, so to speak, in that screenshot.
And that happens for that disappearing, after some amount of time. We've also, like, I had the benefit of being able to kind of level set our rulings and our judging, because I held an event with the New Zealand police at basically at their location. I was on site, and you have heads of missing persons, law enforcement that's there looking over the submissions as they come in, and they were excited, enthusiastic, but then you have that excellent level set going. Yeah, what we are asking our contestants to submit, what we're saying are valuable or needs more work, aligns with what they, as people who work with the missing persons cases, are saying. Yep, I'd send that back. Yes, I would. That's excellent. Holy cow, you blew us away with the information that you have. So being able to adjust and tune to say, we're aligned with what law enforcement wants to see in those screenshots. I mean, that's type of thing too, where I go, it's like, I just remember how law enforcement felt seeing some of those screenshots and that information come across. Like they were just amazed and enthusiastic to just see that as it was coming across the wire. So that's definitely the type of thing that I want to continue to see increasing, and our contestants and participants put together very clear, concise, relevant information that's hey, if you were sending this right now to a law enforcement investigator, because sometimes you might be, is this going to blow them away?
Exactly. Human Decoded mentioned something in the chat that I kind of want to, and I see Closet to the Beach. That's a good question as well that we can discuss here in a second. But judge and team communication, that is something that is very near and dear to my heart. Alethe and Belouve can both attest that I am the Little League Baseball coach of my team, or the lawyer of the team, whatever you want to call it. In the past, when I've competed, I've been the official person off the team to argue with the judge.
Same.
Obviously, you don't want to go in adversarial. Like saying I argue with the judge is probably not that wise. What I'm getting at is your judge is human. Oh, I'm sure it took years off your life. I mean,
You deserved it though.
I'm finding gray hairs now because of you all. Hey, I mean, I'm totally cool.
Good look.
I know, I'm totally cool.
Gray is coming into style. That's all I got to say.
I mean, I've been gray-headed my entire life, pun intended.
Ha 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 ha.
But tis. But I cannot stress from a strategy perspective of a competitor, as well as the strategy perspective of a judge, immediately get in contact with the team. You need to have, and if you're using Discord, you do have to send a friend request to do the group message. So be aware of that. Have a line of communication with at least one person from your team, if not everyone from your team, and the judge. But you want to designate one person to kind of be the person to interact with the judge the most, that can be sidetracked off of whatever they're looking for to talk to the judge, so that, like, if you have one person that it takes a long time for them to get ramped up into their investigation, leave them off to the side. And if you've got someone that's kind of like me and already ADD and bouncing off the walls, let them do it. But definitely be respectful as long as you can. I know it gets hard. The last competition, I will say I got a little spicy with one of the judges. That's because they had accused my team of cheating. And it's like, no, this is as plain as day in the contestant guide. With that, and if you have, and Belouve, Crete, and Human Decoded is going to hate me for saying this, if you have a problem with your judge, escalate it to those three people, explain it, let them investigate, give them the time to investigate. I'm being a hypocrite when I say that. Give them the time to investigate, and then they may reassign you to another judge. Sometimes, because the judges are volunteers. You're not going to get, Alethe Denis, Joe Gray, Ginsburg 5150, Sin Wendy, Michael Basil, Chris Kubeka. That's not always going to be who's judging, right? You're not going to have like the who's who of like quote popular OSINT as the judges. The judge might be a noob too. If you're on a high volume team like the teams I've been on, it's nothing unusual to overwhelm a judge to the point of where they just tap out and cry.
I have a couple two things off of that. One is to clarify that there's there's now a better way to set up communication with your judge, and that is through manipulating a support ticket. So we have support tickets in our Trace Labs Discord. You open up a support ticket and you can add other users to it. You don't have to friend them. You don't have to DM them. You're not going to,
Yeah,
risk
it
exposing
actually
their
works
ID.
really well.
It works fantastic, because then if there's a problem, like, leadership already has access to all that. Like, we could see that whole history. And if you swap judges, like we just remove the judge from that support ticket and put another judge into that support ticket. So we can see all of that. It works fantastic. So that's the first point that's really awesome. The second point, I would say, is that if you do escalate to your judge or escalate to one of the judge admins, when you get that clarified and submit the ticket, because I've seen this a few times, don't submit the ticket with the rationale being, I talked to Belouve, he said it was cool. That's great, but it's like on the back end, sending it through a reporting team, you go, that means absolutely nothing to most law enforcement, and maybe for the few that had met me, but you still need that good context and everything, not just saying, hey, I ran it. I talked to Joe and he said this is an awesome submission and it should be accepted. It's like, well, great, but we still,
in all fairness, to be entirely fair, I may have screenshot you saying that flag was permissible and sent it to the judge to tell them to approve a flag in the past.
Okay, yeah.
But I sent it to the judge. I did not.
That's only once that's happened.
Yeah.
I did not upload it into the platform. I sent it to the judge.
Yeah, and I've seen that from a number of teams, not just yours, where they say, hey, I hashed it out. I had a conversation and they said this flag is good. I'm like, okay, cool, but you still have to submit the flag with the context and reporting around it, because I can't take that and put it into a report saying you talked with a judge and they said it was cool. That means nothing to very little to law enforcement when they're or even the reporting team.
If you're interested in purchasing courses from the OSINTion, you can do so in a variety of ways. The easiest way is the OSINTion store, which is at theosintion.com/courses/store. You can purchase bundles, individual courses, and placeholders here. If you would like a custom bundle, please email bundles@theosintion.com for custom bundles or questions. If you're interested in any of the upcoming live courses, we are teaching on March 4th from noon until 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Practical OPSEC for Intelligence and Privacy. We will be teaching Intelligence Investigations Business on April 1st from noon until 8:30 p.m. On May 6th, we'll be teaching from noon until 4 p.m. the Image Intelligence, Optical Character Recognition, and Video Analysis course. And also on May 6th, we'll be teaching regular expressions for intelligence from 5 to 9 p.m. Eastern. If you'd like to bundle these courses, we offer this in a payment plan and as a one-time payment. There are the links to take care of that. You can follow us on Twitch. osint.mobi/Twitch is the redirect. osint.mobi/YouTube is the YouTube redirect. And also we maintain a couple of communities. On Discord, we maintain the OSINTion Discord, which is osint.mobi/Discord. And we are also members of OSINTelligence on LinkedIn, which you can join via osint.mobi/OSINTelligence. There are the links to my social media as well as the OSINTion's. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications.